Shipping in the waters off Somalia is becoming a dangerous business these days. Pirate attacks are on the increase and the international community wants something done. But can piracy be brought under control as long as Somalia itself is out of control? The murky and perilous waters of piracy in the Horn of Africa. This is Inside Story. Hello there, I'm Kamal Santamaria. A week after having their boat seized off the Somali coast, a Spanish crew is now back at home. The 13 sailors were fishing when armed men attacked their vessel, taking them hostage. It was the type of attack which is becoming more commonplace in the waters off the Horn of Africa. The men were pirates, they were armed with rocket-propelled grenades, and they were very serious in their intent. Some reports say they were demanding upwards of $1 million in ransom money. Pirates have been operating off the coast of Somalia for years, but only now is it really gaining the world's attention. The question is, who should be fighting back and how?
In this incident last month, Somali troops stormed a vessel from Dubai that pirates had taken over. But when pirates seized a French luxury yacht off the Somali coast, governments noticed. French special forces flew into Somalia to hunt down suspects. Those men are now waiting trial in France. And French President Nicolas Sarkozy even gave the former hostages a warm welcome when they were finally released and arrived back in Paris. And now France is one of 4 countries pressing the UN to take action to try to secure the waters around Somalia. Pirates take advantage of the lawlessness that's plagued the country because it hasn't had an effective central government for 17 years and isn't able to guarantee ship safety in or around its waters. The piracy is having an effect inland too. Famine, floods and fighting in Somalia is leaving many people without food. Even ships delivering food aid have been attacked. The threats forcing some agencies to call on militaries to help. In this case, a Danish warship guarded a food delivery as it headed to Somalia, hoping to prevent yet another pirate attack.
Let's bring in our guests now. In London, Patengal Mukundan, he is the director of the International Maritime Bureau. Also in London, Abdurrahman Osman, the founder of the Somali Concern Group. And in Dundee, Scotland, Dr. Frans Lehr, he is the professor at the University of St Andrews. He has written extensively on the issue of piracy. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on Inside Story. I'm going to start with Abdurrahman Osman in London. Let's clear something up from the very start first. Who are these pirates? Where are they coming from? Where do they get their funding from? Where do they get their weapons from?
Yeah, these pirates are the product of lawlessness and without a functioning government in Somalia. Since the fallout of the previous regime in 1991, and what happened is these pirates started as legitimate fishing Somalis who wanted really to get fish from the sea. However, at the time they found like big fishes who were illegally fishing in their soil. So, and then those illegal fishing, they were also harassing these small boats for Somalis. And then it started for them saying, let's have guns, let's deal with these people. It started from there and it developed a way where, because of the lawlessness, because of the no government in Somalia, then they thought maybe this is a way to make a profit, and they were demanding ransom. So it's been going on for 17 years. However, it became the international concern, as you said earlier, rightly, with the last 2 years. So they becoming more dangerous, and also they are demanding more money. As you know, recently, and it's been reported that they've been given 1.2 million in order to release recent ships. So it's getting, so the situation is that some Somalis also feel that these are protecting the sea. If you know Somalia, there's no functioning government that can control the water territory. So some people see that these people are protecting them for these illegal fishing. And also there has been reports where these companies are dumping chemical wastes to Somalia, where radioactive, the magnitude of the health problems caused was enormous. So until we see a functioning government, it's going to be difficult to deal with these pirates that exist at the moment.
Okay, let's go to Dr. Frans Lehr in Dundee. We were talking there about these recent, more high-profile piracy situations, the French and the Spanish. High-profile European countries, lots of money involved, allegedly, in these ransoms. I guess, does this show that they are quite sophisticated in how they operate? It's not just random attacks. They're now going after, pardon the phrase, bigger fish.
Right, that's true. It's actually not the first time that this happens. I remember that in November 2005 already the Seaborne Spirit, this cruise liner, was under attack, roughly 150 nautical miles off the shores. Nowadays they attack up to 260 nautical miles, which means they operate from board of a mothership. They have small, fast-moving boats on board of a small freighter or a dhow. They attack with AK-47 rocket-propelled grenades. They have satellite photos, phones, global positioning systems, everything that money can buy.
So they're very sophisticated.
Pirates.
Exactly. They're very
the most sophisticated.
Where's that coming from? Where's the funding coming from? Where are the rocket-propelled grenades coming from?
Well, if you take a look at the funding, you have to see that actually the piracy in Somalia started with knife-point attacks, which means very unsophisticated, low-level maritime muggings. And then the pirates invested the returns of these illicit activities into acquiring more muscles, more weapons. Well, if you take a look where the weapons come from, well, they come from the other side of the shores, from Yemen or wherever. But that's not easy to get. I mean, Somalia is basically a flourishing black market for weapons anyway. So getting weapons, rocket-propelled grenades, is not that difficult as long as you have the money to buy them.
Potengel Mukundan in London. I've been reading a recent report which the International Maritime Bureau released. You've said that lessons need to be learnt if this is to get any better. I guess the question is, what are the lessons to be learnt for the sailors out on the sea themselves if they find themselves in this position?
Well, we have the situation where ship owners find their vessels hijacked, and then they go through a very steep learning curve as they deal with the situation. Eventually, a few weeks later, the crew are released, the ransom is paid. And once the ship leaves Somalia, the owners, usually the file is closed, and the lessons from that experience are not available to the next ship owner who finds himself in the same position. We get frequently calls from owners asking us about the format of these attacks, how long it's going to take, and what kind of behavior these pirates engage in once they are on board the ship. So what we are proposing is that there should be a central database of the experiences of masters which can be available to all those who need to access this information. The advantages of this is that you can update your preventative advice to masters and owners, and also perhaps it provides valuable information to those who are going to respond to this incident.
I guess, though, in a way, a lot of that would be dealing with the symptoms rather than the disease itself. Now, Abdurrahman Osman in London was saying it's really coming down to a need for a solid government in Somalia to go to the root of the problem. Do you believe that's the case, and do you believe that's possible given the state Somalia is in at the moment?
Well, at the moment, we don't have any effective central government and no central law enforcement agency in Somalia. So the masters and the crew have no one to turn to when they are attacked. The only people who can respond to these attacks are the coalition naval forces which are operating off the Horn of Africa. And if they are in the region, they will normally come to the assistance of a vessel in trouble. But they will usually stop just outside the 12-mile territorial limit of Somalia for legal reasons. And the pirates know this very well. So they attack ships, as you have heard, hundreds of miles off the coast, and then they bring these vessels and anchor them a couple of miles off the coast, well inside territorial waters, and they feel quite secure that no one will come to the assistance of the ships or the crew until the ransom negotiations are over.
Right, so government or a governing body in Somalia would be quite important. Abdurrahman Osman in London. I guess Somalia did have some stability a while ago when the Union of Islamic Courts was in charge. What was the situation like with piracy when they were in charge? Did they have any grip over the situation?
I think that was, as you rightly said, when the Islamic courts were in power 6 months in, 2006. What we have witnessed is the pirates even stopped. Not only that, there's one incident where Islamic courts fought against these pirates and captured them. So that was exactly what people liked for the Islamic Courts Union, not only dealing with the poverty, they were also dealing in terms of lawlessness existed either inside Somalia or in their territory. Coming back to previous speaker, and even it's good to dealing with these pirates, but also on the other hand, and are they recording in terms of these illegal fisheries companies, illegal dumping and waste, chemical waste? Somalia see that is equally needs to be dealt rather than just looking into only for these pirates and who believe that these fishes, they're illegal fishing in their territory. So even though he said it's illegally 12 miles, but previous government, Somalia, when Siad Barre was there, they were claiming that the 200 miles that is Somali territory in terms of water. So that needs to be clarified and also to be dealt with the illegal fisheries. Also, as you know, the French and US now put a resolution to United Nations trying to get foreign governments to protect like ships in terms of against these pirates. Then again, there's a lot of loopholes in that, and why are French dealing with that issue rather than dealing with getting a functioning government in Somalia that could control their sea.
I'm going to stop you there, Mr. Abdurrahman, because we are going to be discussing that more after the break. It is time for us to take that break. When we come back, is the international community really able to put an end to piracy off Somalia, and what's the likely spillover of foreign intervention in a war-torn country? Back in a moment.